Hello, I'm Sean Alaka, editor of Forensic Magazine, and I would like to welcome everyone to today's webinar brought to you by Nuix. Today's presentation is called Working Smarter, Analyzing Vast Data Sets. While we are listening to the presentation today, I'd like to encourage everyone to submit questions at any time by typing into the designated comment section on your screen. Following the presentation, we will have a question and answer segment where today's speaker will answer individual questions submitted by members of the audience. Remember that today's webinar will be available on demand so you can view it again at your convenience or share it with others. You will receive an email with a link to access the webinar within the next few days. Now I would like to welcome today's speaker. Mr. Robert J. O'Leary is a former member of the New Jersey State Police and has spent 25 years in digital forensics and cybersecurity. He is now an engineer with Nuix. Please find his entire biography in the slideshow available at the end of the presentation. Without further ado, I will now hand the floor over to Mr. O'Leary for the presentation. Enjoy the webinar, everyone.
Hello, my name is Robert O'Leary, and I'm a solutions engineer here at Nuix. Today, I would like to provide you an overview of big data, putting big data in context, the Nuix solutions to collecting big data, and the Nuix solutions to analyzing big data in your investigations. As we know, the list of devices that contain electronically stored information and potential evidence grows every year. Digital investigations regularly include evidence stored in smartphones, tablets, digital cameras, flash memory devices, cloud storage, as well as laptops and workstations. When large organizations undertake these investigations, they must also handle massive volumes of data in difficult-to-access formats. Despite the growth of electronically stored information data sets, many investigators steadfastly stick to the traditional method of analyzing each data repository individually using traditional forensic tools, then manually correlating the evidence they've uncovered. This approach has become immensely time-consuming, leading to a large backlog of unsolved cases due to large data sets. In recent years, we've seen law enforcement and corporate investigators taking a different approach to Nuix solutions, which achieve better results much faster than traditional methods. The Nuix solutions enable users to collect data and using a combination of data management, analytic, and forensic techniques to understand the context and content of digital evidence much faster. This makes it possible to rapidly focus on the most relevant information and rapidly identify that information of value to your investigation. This makes Nuix a superior solution in dealing with large data sets. Nuix has unmatched capabilities to handle large and complex evidence sets with powerful search, analysis, and data management tools. It can automatically highlight items such as names, email addresses, phone, and credit card numbers across multiple data sets, and investigators can easily transfer this information among related investigations. Nuix provides deeper context and analysis than keyword searching, allowing investigators to match up related documents, common groupings of words, and other valuable information. It also performs detailed forensic analysis on deleted files, slack space, Windows registry keys, mobile device images, and a variety of other data. The objective of today's presentation include understanding big data sets, identifying what comprises big data sets, offering recommended solutions for effectively dealing with these data sets, offering the solutions for processing data, as well as improved workflows and improved reporting. Often, the answer to what is big data has been met the response, I know it when I see it, a phrase famously used in 1964 by Supreme Court Justice Potter Stewart. However, we know what big data is. We know that it comes from a variety of sources, including those devices the home user has in addition to those massive data sets that corporations face. In 2012, Gartner updated its definition of big data as high volume, high velocity, and/or high variety information assets. We can see by this graphic the growth of electronically stored information from 1986 through 2007 when this analysis was done. And we can see that the transition from analog and data stored in analog forms such as paper, film, and audio tape has grown dramatically with the benefit of digital storage capabilities. What we used to fill multiple storerooms and came from dozens and hundreds of custodians now occupies 2.5-inch hard drives and 3.5-inch hard drives, and may only fill a desk or a shelf, but comes from thousands of custodians, amounting to vast data sets that must be examined in order to uncover relevant information in a matter under investigation. We see that the average data set for a single individual can average 10 terabytes of information when looking at all of the electronically stored information a person may have, from a desktop machine, a laptop, network storage, an iPad, a mobile device, and external drives. As you can see, these can be very large data sets to analyze and extremely difficult to examine with traditional tools. To put this in context, we start to look at how much paper these data sets would comprise. We can see that an average estimate of 1 gigabyte is 75,000 pages. We can put this in additional context when we begin to look at an average email, 900 emails with 300 attachments, is a 100 megabyte PST file. Whereas an email that's been in use for a few years can be 9,000 or more emails with 3,000 or more attachments, is over a gigabyte of compressed capacity. Again, to put it in context, printed out, a gigabyte is a truck full of paper. An exabyte is actually 10 to the 18th power bytes of data. Again, we're looking at huge volumes of information, but often it's easier to explain when we start to put it into visual comparisons. A mere 12 gigabytes of data, an average user's email account, will, if printed out on pages, and then those pages are organized into reams, and the reams are stacked one on top of another, an average user's email of 12 gigabytes would be as high as, or almost as high as, the Sears Tower in Chicago. Multiplying that by 10, the size of some thumb drives, removable thumb drives at 120 gigabytes, would be comparable to the size of Mount Rainier stacked high at 2.7 miles. And we're still talking about relatively small data sets at 120 gigabytes. Half the size of a 500 gig hard drive or a typical external drive would stack as high as Mount Everest, over 5.6 miles high. And then looking at the typical hard drive of an off-the-shelf laptop or desktop unit at 1 terabyte, or a typical external hard drive, would amount to the same distance for the record free fall that Felix Baumgartner did in October of 2012 at 23 miles high. Again, we're looking at huge volumes of data. The Nuix solutions enable users to leverage the patented Nuix engine to index, analyze, and search data faster than any other technology at a greater scale. Users can process more data, search data in place, understand context across all data sources, solve cases faster, reduce backlogs is one of the most valuable results of using the Nuix solutions. Nuix enables users to quickly identify key facts and intelligence across large volumes of digital evidence. Users can quickly identify the facts and that relevant information, substantiate the forensic certainty of the findings, implement logical and intuitive workflows, and also gain expert advice from the Nuix forensic specialists. The Nuix solutions include the Nuix Investigator Workstation, the Nuix Investigator Lab, Nuix Web Review and Analytics, Nuix Director, and Nuix Collection Solutions. In this presentation, we'll touch on each of these to give you an idea of how you can implement the Nuix solutions to deal with those vast data sets. Collecting large data sets, Nuix offers the Enterprise Collection Center, as well as Nuix Workstation and Nuix eDiscovery Director. The Nuix Enterprise Collection Center will connect and collect from various sources. Here we can see when we begin to collect, we can collect from files, folders, network shares, mail stores, Exchange servers, Amazon buckets, SQL, and Dropbox accounts. Nuix Enterprise Collection Center, in addition to collecting, will also enable users to delete data on endpoints, as well as capture network traffic and launch external commands on those endpoints. Nuix Enterprise Collection Center can collect from local, network, as well as remote sources, such as a SharePoint server, enabling Nuix users to collect a variety of source data for a single case and store that data for analysis in the Nuix solutions. As we can see, Nuix Enterprise Collection Center will connect directly to a SharePoint server and enable the users to collect the entire SharePoint server or select sub-items within that SharePoint server that are of specific interest by custodian, by groups, or by subsites within that SharePoint server. Nuix Workbench enables users to add files such as forensic evidence containers or loose files, the contents of folders, DD files, resources connected to the computer. It can add load files as well as network locations such as webmail stores, Exchange servers, SharePoint, Centera clusters, Enterprise Vault, Amazon buckets, SQL Server, and both team and individual Dropbox accounts. Nuix eDiscovery Director can also be used to create cases and process data from various sources. As we can see, Nuix Director can automate the collection, the processing of data through templates by enable the users to open the file location and browse to the source data. Additionally, Nuix enables users to compound cases into larger compound cases and enable them to perform the analysis on multiple data sets simultaneously. This enables users to search, tag, annotate, deduplicate, and perform analysis on large data sets much faster. A typical example of case compounding would enable the users to process multiple simple cases in Nuix and then compound those cases for the analysis and searching of relevant data across multiple cases simultaneously, making the Nuix user much more efficient and enabling them to reduce the backlog by processing multiple cases in a single session. By compounding cases, Nuix users can perform analysis of multiple cases simultaneously. Simple cases can be added to that compound case at different times and allows the review of compound cases in the Nuix Web Review and Analytics platform. Nuix Workbench Document Navigator enables users to view the items by evidence items, by custodian, by excluded item, filtered items, item sets, automatic classifiers, and production sets. In that view, we can see here that the Nuix Workbench Document Navigator will enable users to add multiple cases to a single compound case and enable them to analyze all of that data much faster. It'll also give them the ability to view or suppress the view of any of these simple cases simply by checking or unchecking those items in the Evidence Navigator pane. We can also show that we can exclude certain items, and in this example, we can see that one of the exclusion lists that we've created is the National Software Reference Library, or NSRL. Any known files that match the hash value of the National Software Reference Library produced by NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, can be suppressed from our results and enable us to focus in on the relevant user items as opposed to those items which are known good items. We can also focus in on specific items in the filtered categories that Nuix creates upon selecting the processing options when we process our cases. Nuix will identify and categorize file types and allow us to navigate to them directly, and allowing us to identify critical information much more quickly as soon as processing is completed. The Document Navigator also allows us to view items by custodians, by item sets, which we can create subsets of our items in our case. We can also create automatic classifiers based on a selection of items that we identify and find and classify the additional items within our data sets that match those items. We can also produce production sets from our data sets within the Nuix Workbench interface. Additionally, the Document Navigator allows us to both filter and exclude items from our data set if we have specific items that we know are not relevant to our case and we want to exclude them from view in our search results. Again, Nuix gives the users very valuable tools and a great deal of features and functionality to customize how they use our tools and arrive at the results they're looking for. Additionally, in the results pane, Nuix will allow us to cull large data sets by suppressing or hiding immaterial items, such as containers or items that have no evidential value for our investigation. We can also deduplicate our results, again, culling our relevant findings down by deduplicating either by the MD5 hash or the MD5 hash per custodian, showing us just one of the results and deduplicating those matching items. Additionally, we can start to look at the status of our immaterial items and our deduplicated items at the bottom of the results pane, where we have highlighted in yellow. Nuix will report the number of items displayed, as well as the number of immaterial items hidden, and the number of duplicates removed from view. These are not removed from our data set. They are simply removed from the view and the results of our searches. Another area that Nuix enables users to focus on relevant data is through the named entities, also through search and tag, and through our tagged item categories. In looking at our named entities, if we select this option when we process our data, Nuix will identify the companies, countries, credit cards, emails, hashtags, IP addresses, mobile numbers, money, people, personal IDs, Twitter handles, and URLs within our data set, and put them into these filtered item categories where we can focus on them much more quickly and pursue our investigation of those items very quickly upon completion of processing. Additionally, Nuix enables users to not only search, but perform searches and tag the results through an automated process using search and tag. In this case, I've performed searches for the query internal use only and the term confidential. We can also put complex search queries in here, assign a tag, and Nuix will process that data and report the results to us extremely quickly since the data has already been indexed. Here, we can see the Search and Results tab that allows us to look at the tag as well as the number of matches to our search criteria. We can go now to the tagged categories, as Nuix has created new tag categories for these items, and it will show us the exact results for those items. You'll notice that it also reflects that these items have been tagged accordingly, and we can look at those results much more quickly within the Nuix results panel. Here, if we select the proprietary tag, we can see that those 48 proprietary items have been reduced again or culled down through MD5 and by hiding the immaterial items. As a result of hiding one immaterial item and removing 23 duplicates, we need only focus on 24 responsive items within our data set. Again, enabling us to look at that large data set and cull that data down to the relevant information and a single copy of each of those items. Additionally, Nuix gives us the ability to export our relevant findings into case subsets, which we can then assign to other examiners to focus on more specifically, and allow us to have multiple examiners examining large data sets and subsets of those data sets simultaneously to get to the results faster. We can also perform legal exports to load files for review by legal departments as well as outside counsel. Through exporting and reporting, Nuix offers robust export and reporting options, allowing the users to customize how they are going to perform those searches, export those results, and provide those results to the people that need the information. That brings us to the end of our presentation, and at this time, we're happy to take any questions that you may have.
Okay, great. Thank you, Robert, for an excellent and informative presentation. I'm sure our viewers got a lot from that. We are now taking questions on today's webinar. I'd like to remind everyone and encourage everyone to please submit your questions for Robert at any time. There's a space provided on your screen. You can type those in there, and we will get them asked. All questions that aren't discussed in the question and answer segment will be answered by representatives of Nuix at a later time. So please go ahead and we'll take some time to get the questions going, and we'll start off with our first question now. Can I process and analyze data sets from different platforms and sources simultaneously? For example, a custodian's Mac laptop, Windows workstation, and smartphone.
Yes. Nuix will enable users to process each of these items simultaneously or process all of these items independently and federate those cases into a compound case for analysis. So Nuix will offer the users several options to be able to process data from multiple data sources simultaneously.
Okay, great. That made a lot of sense. We have another question coming in. The question for you, Robert, is, we have unique transaction numbers in our data sets. Can we identify these transaction numbers during processing the way Nuix identifies names, email addresses, credit card numbers, and other information?
Yes. As I explained in the initial introduction and then in the view of our named entities, Nuix can identify named entities using regular expressions. Users are able to create their own regular expressions for particular named entities. We can also assist users in creating custom named entities through regular expressions to identify specific information that's relevant to them. So we can assist you or show you how to create those regular expressions to process data and identify those unique named entities for your data sets.
Okay, perfect. I'd like to again remind everyone to please use the space provided on your screen if you have any questions for Robert, and we have some time here during the question and answer to get them answered. Our next user submitted question: great presentation. Have you considered this application for laboratory information management systems for technical data reporting?
Nuix can be configured in a laboratory environment through the use of the Nuix server installation. We can manage our cases, enable users and managers of labs to identify users, cases those users are assigned to, and the progress on those cases, so they can absolutely leverage the Nuix solutions in a laboratory environment and be able to cull the data from multiple cases to report it all simultaneously through compounding.
Okay, thanks, Robert. Seems we have a few more questions coming in. The next question is, will Nuix identify non-OCR ED PDF files that it cannot index?
Yes, it can. Not only will Nuix identify non-searchable PDFs or non-optical character recognition identified PDFs, it will actually enable users to OCR those documents within the Nuix platform. In addition to performing that, those documents can then be re-ingested into the data set, indexed, and added to those indexes so that any relevant information within those previously non-searchable PDFs becomes searchable and will be included in the search results that the users perform. So Nuix has the capability to OCR documents within its platform, and one of the workflows that we recommend for the Nuix users is to identify not only the non-searchable PDFs, but also encrypted files that Nuix automatically identifies upon processing, and deal with those initially so that they can then include contents of those non-searchable PDFs and encrypted documents in the results for reporting purposes.
Wow, great. That's really interesting. Thanks again for that answer. And we have a couple more questions here. Again, any listeners out there, please don't be shy and fill in your questions for Robert while we have him here today. The next question is the database architecture easy to maintain and not dependent on relational database structures?
That's a great question. Yes, the Nuix database is easy to maintain, as in the entire case is contained within a case folder. Nuix is built on the Java platform, and it includes all of the case processing, stores, and data within a case folder. Obviously, with that capability, that becomes easy to archive and transport, if necessary, across systems or onto archive machines. So the Nuix case folder, which is essentially the data stores, is very easy to maintain, and it's not dependent on a relational database.
All right, perfect. Thank you. We have one more question for now. Let me go ahead and ask it. How much data can Nuix process in one day?
On a high-end server, Nuix can fully index more than 2.5 terabytes a day. We have provided support to many of our clients and recommended architecture for their environment to be able to optimize the Nuix performance, which may include multiple drives within that high-end server to leverage the processing power of Nuix to process large data sets very quickly and enable examiners to get to the analysis phase much more quickly.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Robert, for your taking the time to answer some of our listeners' questions out there. That will conclude our webinar for today. Again, I'd like to thank everyone for attending and for submitting your questions. I'd like to thank you, Mr. O'Leary, for your expertise, and to our sponsor, Nuix. I'd like to remind everyone to look out for an email with a link to access this webinar on demand within the next couple of days. And from us at Forensic Magazine, have a great day, everyone.